Sometimes a person will describe an encounter so bizarre, so unworldly, that even seasoned investigators are left scratching their heads. We're talking about face-to-face meetings with unknown figures, beings or people who appear from nowhere, do something impossible, then vanish without a trace. These encounters are not easily classified as ghosts or normal humans, but they leave witnesses deeply unsettled, certain they've brushed against something outside our everyday reality. Today we're diving into real-life encounters with unknown figures, cases so eerie they defy ordinary explanation. Some witnesses never spoke publicly until years later, fearing ridicule. Others tried to alert authorities, only to find no evidence of the figure at all. Yet in each story, the descriptions are too vivid and too detailed to dismiss outright. Stay with me until the end, because one of these tales remains so chilling that local law enforcement still refuses to discuss it publicly, even decades later. If you love deep dives into true crime and unexplained mysteries, subscribe now so you don't miss next Saturday's episode, where we explore incidents of mass hysteria that took over entire towns. Cases where fear itself became as dangerous as any crime. One rainy night in 1982, a driver along a lonely stretch of rural highway in upstate New York noticed a pale woman standing by the roadside. She wore a thin dress unsuited for the cold rain. Concerned, he pulled over. The woman approached, her long hair plastered to her face, and asked for a ride to the next town. The driver hesitated. Something about her eyes seemed distant, almost as if she was staring through him rather than at him. But he relented, unlocking the passenger door. During the short drive, she spoke barely above a whisper, mentioning that she used to live in a house near an abandoned barn. The driver sensed an indescribable heaviness in the air, as though the darkness outside had seeped into the car. When they neared a small crossroads, she abruptly asked him to stop. He pulled over, then glanced away for just a moment to check the rearview mirror. When he turned back, the passenger seat was empty. No sound of a door opening, no rustle of fabric. She was just gone. Unnerved, the driver reported the incident to the local sheriff, who nodded knowingly. The sheriff explained that for years, locals had whispered about a ghostly hitchhiker fitting her description. Some said she was the restless spirit of a farm girl who died in a car accident. Others believed she was a living person caught in a time slip, forced to relive her final journey. Yet each witness described the same scenario: a quiet woman, a short ride, and a disappearance as soon as they looked away. No footprints on the wet road, no sign she had ever been there. Officially, there's no record of a woman meeting that exact description going missing or dying at that spot. But the phantom hitchhiker sightings continue, each new witness adding another layer of mystery to a story that defies rational explanation. Few modern legends are as unsettling as the black-eyed kids. Witnesses say they appear as normal children or teenagers, typically in pairs, wearing nondescript clothing and standing on porches late at night. Their faces are often obscured by hoods or shadows. When they lift their heads, their eyes are entirely black, no whites, no iris. They ask for simple favors, like using the phone or needing a ride. Yet their voices have an odd monotone, and a sense of dread overwhelms anyone who sees them. One well-known case took place in 1996. A journalist in Abilene, Texas, was sitting in his car outside a movie theater when two boys knocked on his window. He felt a spike of alarm the moment he saw them, though he couldn't say why. They requested a ride home to get money so they could buy tickets. Despite their calm tone, the journalist's instinct screamed at him to leave. Then he noticed their eyes, pure black. Panicked, he rolled up the window and sped away. In his rearview mirror, he saw the boys had vanished, though there was nowhere for them to go so quickly. After he posted his account online, more witnesses emerged, each describing an encounter with these strange black-eyed children who showed up uninvited, always exuding an aura of menace. Some victims reported a deep sense of vertigo or nausea once they made eye contact. Others claimed malfunctioning electronics or flickering lights coincided with the kids' presence. Skeptics argue it's an urban legend, but those who've come face to face with these black-eyed figures remain convinced they encountered something profoundly unnatural. No official documentation exists beyond personal testimonies, yet the phenomenon persists across different regions and eras, always cloaked in fear and unanswerable questions. In the mid-1960s, a wave of UFO sightings and mysterious creature reports swept the eastern United States. Amidst this backdrop, some people reported encountering a bizarre figure known as the Grinning Man. Described as unnaturally tall, dressed in a metallic or shiny green suit with a permanent grin stretching across his face, he exuded an air of surreal menace. The grin was said to be too wide, too fixed, like a caricature of human emotion rather than the real thing. One of the most famous encounters took place in 1966, when two boys walking along a dark street in New Jersey claimed they saw a man standing under a street lamp. He had no nose or ears visible, just an unnerving grin and piercing eyes. As they watched, he glided toward them without moving his legs. Terrified, they fled and later told police they'd never felt such dread in their lives. Multiple sightings of a similar figure occurred that year, with witnesses describing telepathic impressions or a sensation of being mentally probed. Though some tie the Grinning Man to UFO lore, no definitive explanation exists. Could he be a trickster spirit, an alien entity, or a psychological manifestation triggered by anxiety during those UFO flaps? No official records confirm his existence, only the scattered testimonies of those who encountered the inhuman smile in the darkness. Whether real or a mass hallucination, the Grinning Man stands as one of the most disturbing unknown figures in American paranormal history. A fleeting silhouette whose grin remains etched in the memory of those who saw it. Among the pantheon of mysterious encounters, few figures have as many worldwide reports as the Hat Man. Witnesses describe a shadowy silhouette of a tall man wearing a wide-brimmed hat, sometimes a trench coat, appearing at the edges of vision or in the corner of a room. He doesn't speak, move quickly or threaten physically, yet the dread he induces is profound and universally reported. One deeply unsettling case happened in 2009 in Sydney, Australia. A woman awoke in the middle of the night to find a dark outline of a man standing at the foot of her bed. He wore a hat with a wide brim, and though she couldn't see any facial details, she sensed he was staring right at her. Paralyzed by fear, she tried to scream but found no voice. He stood there for what felt like minutes, then slowly backed away into the shadows, disappearing through the wall. The next morning she discovered her cat cowering in the closet, hissy and agitated. Similar experiences have been reported across continents for decades. Some see him during sleep paralysis, others claim full alertness. A few believe the Hat Man is an omen of tragedy. After sightings, they experienced misfortune or lost a family member. Psychologists suggest a mass psychological phenomenon or a misinterpretation of dream states. Still, those who've encountered him remain convinced he's more than a figment of imagination, describing him as a sentinel from some unknown realm, quietly observing, content to sow fear by his mere presence. From phantom hitchhikers to black-eyed children, from a silent grinning man to the ominous Hat Man, these real-life encounters with unknown figures defy logic and resist easy classification. Each witness emerges shaken, certain they brushed against something outside the ordinary. Are these beings spirits, extraterrestrials, interdimensional travelers, or something else entirely? Which story sent the biggest chill down your spine? Do you believe these unknown figures might be multiple manifestations of the same phenomenon, or are they distinct mysteries that occasionally cross paths with our world? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this extended deep dive, subscribe now so you don't miss next Saturday's episode, where we explore incidents of mass hysteria that took over entire towns, cases where fear itself became as dangerous as any crime. Always remember, sometimes the scariest threats aren't those lurking in dark alleys, but those that show up uninvited on our front porches or in our bedrooms while we sleep. Thank you for watching. See you in the next investigation.